Well, this feels familiar, doesn't it? Um, so it's interesting. I actually figured out a way to stop the whole glare thing on my glasses. Just turn the brightness down on my computer. Duh. Like, what the hell? That was obvious, wasn't it? Um, so, boy, we were just here last week. And I know, that's weird. I kind of settled into doing vlogs about once a month. About once a month. Um, but I had something kind of interesting, I guess. Um, Not interesting. No, it's just something I wanted to talk about, and it's not Batman. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I watched Batman Returns today, and I would actually love to do a video on that. Like, there's that's something I would love to like in depth analyze. And this is completely irrelevant to the video, but I want to talk about this too, actually, because I would like to make more videos like that. Unfortunately, I don't really have like good video editing software. Um, so it would not be very feasible for me to make the kind of videos that I want to make. But if it's just me sitting here talking like this about something, I would I would totally be game for that, actually. Um, so yeah, but yeah, man, that was an interesting time. And I want to talk about Batman. Yes, today I want to talk to you about Batman. And then my one person audience turns the video off because that's completely not interesting. But yeah, I'm not only coming at you a week after my last vlog, I'm coming at you, if you couldn't tell by the tone of my voice, um, at a time when my parents are both here. They're in bed now. But, they're both here. And I don't think I've ever filmed a vlog like that before. I could have waited until Tuesday. I could have did it, but I didn't do it because I wanted to talk about it. And this is definitely going to be like a lot more. Not that none of my vlogs are stream of consciousness or whatever, because they all are. But yeah, this is going to be even more stream of consciousness, and it's going to be very personal. Last week's was pretty personal. But this is going to be more like the Lauren one, I think, in terms of not tone. It's not definitely not subject matter like that, but it's in terms of personal stuff. I don't even know if I'm going to make this public. I might keep it unlisted, and then whoever I trust to watch it can watch it, and then that'll be how that goes. I wanted to talk about something kind of peculiar. Peculiar. I don't know if that's the right word. Something that happened to me yesterday that I've thought about, and I kind of can't stop thinking about. I really need to do these without visuals because, man, I don't like looking at myself. But I think if I minimize it, it completely takes me away, which is not great. Maybe if I just kind of scale me down a little bit. There we go. Now I don't have to pay as much attention to me. Jeez. So yesterday was Saturday. I worked the morning, as is the norm. Work is another vlog that I should do because things should change there as well. Maybe next week. But yeah, yesterday after work, I don't know what's going on. I'm like choking apparently. Yesterday after work, there was a surprise party for my uncle's birthday. And that's not abnormal or anything. I usually hate going to parties and cookouts like that. I like usually kind of hate family gatherings nowadays because they are places where I don't know, people don't even ask me about my life anymore there because it's literally just the same shit every time. There's like never anything new with me to talk about. So, it's just mostly I just sit there and people say, "Hi, how's it going? You still at the bank?" I say yes, and we move on with our lives. You know, um, you know, and for reasons I'm self-conscious about that. But yeah, normally I kind of hate it, and I expected to hate it this time, but I didn't. It was actually held at my uncle's girlfriend's house, which was a new place, which was kind of neat. Um, she had a really cool basement, and I had a lot of fun. She had an air hockey table, which was super fun. We just kind of threw 3 pucks down and played pretty hardcore mode. So I actually had a lot of fun. It was actually the most I'd spoken to a particular member of my family in 10 years, which is another. Like, I'm gonna say that like 3 times before I get the fucking point. But that's another story. Someone that I had a lot of conflict with, and I never ever manifested again. But yeah, it's been a long time, and it was the most I've ever spoken with them. It's the most I've ever spoken and participated in a party centered around my family in a long time, actually. So overall, it was kind of a good thing, but there was this interesting part to it. And it's hard not to make this sound more mysterious than it was because it's a very simple thing. There was this girl there. I say there was this girl there, but I knew exactly who she was. It's like this is the part that gets confusing. And just from a storytelling perspective, how do I tell this story? And actually, this is a good example of what I'm going to talk about in a minute. If I could just get to it. So there was this girl there at this party. Again, I knew who she was. She was the daughter of one of my uncle's neighborhood friends. Back in the day, you see, there were these things called neighborhoods, and the children of the neighborhood would come outside to congregate and play and be friends and get into trouble together and form lasting friendships that last until they're older. And the people are local, so they can have parties, and these people can show. It's a weird world that the generation before us lives in. It's weird and vast and unusual, and I don't understand it. So, yeah. It was her daughter, and I again, I knew who she was. I knew her name. I'd met her before in life, not very much talked to her. But I don't know, something, and again, I knew of her. I hear of her every now and then. She comes up in the lives of my parents or whatever, as a story. And I don't know. Yesterday there was just something about her, and I think you can kind of tell where the story's going a little bit. And there was just something about her that made me want to talk to her, because here's the background. Last I heard of her, she was now again, this is coming from a different generation, so the subject matter is handled much differently than we would. Last my parents had heard, she was a lesbian, and of course my parents and their generation have a loose, interesting grip about what a lesbian is. I mean, they know what it is, obviously, but at the same time, they don't understand that it's not necessarily black and white for someone who's exploring their thing still. But anyways, last I'd heard, that was the news. She was dating a girl or something. I don't know what this shit I heard through the grapevine. Through the grapevine. So, it sounds like I'm being weird about this topic, but I'm really not. Because all of my information about her is secondhand. I hadn't really talked to her. And yesterday, for whatever reason, I found myself wanting to, which is dumb. Because, I don't know. See, look, here's where we get into my problem and the crux of this, because you can tell kind of where I'm going with this, and sort of, maybe. I'm probably going there and other places, so don't you worry. The point is, I never came up with something. There were points when she was there. You know what I mean? And she was like kind of close to the conversations I was having. Here or there, times where she was passing through, where she was tangentially relevant to what was going on. In my area. And it was just, I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to have a conversation with her. I had no idea what about. You know, sometimes you just want to talk to people. Because, like, you know, you do. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, no, I didn't feel anything for her. I just really wanted to be friends. Like, not really. Again, it's different when you don't know anything about somebody. You know what I mean? When you don't know for sure, when things are hearsay, when you hear things from people you know don't have a particularly good grasp on the complexities of people and how they express themselves. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. She looked good. She had this, like, kind of short hair, wavy. You know, she was always, like, freckled. I mean, she wasn't, like, you know, not like, God, I don't know how to describe a body without sounding creepy, apparently. I mean, she was in a bikini, so everything was fucking on display. Well, she was in a bikini and a collared shirt, and that's where the title comes from, obviously. And honestly, I like that look. I'm not gonna sit here and just tiptoe around the subject. I don't know. It's just it's an outfit that I like a collared shirt open, and then the other stuff. It's like, I'm not gonna sit here and deny the fact that I looked at somebody. Like, whatever. I don't know. It's so awkward to say, but that's my point. The point is that it is awkward to say, and the point is that me saying it is incredibly fucking awkward. The fact that me saying anything is awkward. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to talk to her, but my whole thing was, how do I talk to her without seeming like I had a reason? You know what I mean? Like, why does a guy who doesn't know a girl talk to a girl? You know what I'm saying? This is what, and the point of this video, the point of this vlog is that this is what goes through my head. This is what goes through my head when I look at somebody, you know, mildly attractive. I look at them, I say, okay. This is actually, it was funny because earlier yesterday, I described how my mind goes through a social interaction. My assistant manager it came up in conversation with her, and I said, when I have a social interaction, it's like this chessboard, right? And what happens is I look at the chessboard and I plan out 2 or 3 moves ahead. I say, okay, if I say this, based on what I know, based on what I've observed, they will do this. And if they do that, I have to do this. And if they do that, then... And you can see where it gets very complicated. And the bitch of all of this is that I'm really bad at chess. Now, I'm pretty good at knowing what people will say before they say it, or how something will go before they say it. And I think that most of that comes on the merit of I know myself, how I act, how I react to things. You know, I'm pretty conscious of how I look during conversations and all that stuff. And I'm not good at it. I should start drinking because it will make me loosen up. But I'm not good at it. And I tried doing that with this girl yesterday. And I kept imagining it, and I'm like, okay, what do you say that is relevant? And the answer I came up with was nothing. The answer that I came up with was that I just don't have anything relevant to say to this girl. You know, like what do you say? I don't know exactly what she's into. You know, what her interests are, what her hobbies are, what her life is like. You know, the only thing I know is that her mom is friends with my parents, and that we went to, you know, we were at a place together previously in life, you know. And it's just the weird it's the weirdest thing because I cannot start conversations. She's, I don't know, she was around my age, I think. I'm really bad with age too, which is why I otherwise don't talk to people. Like this girl I kind of knew, so it was a little bit different, but and it's just like, how do I manage that? How do I conclude that I have nothing to say to this person? Drop the fact that at the time I would look at her and I didn't know anything about her. I later found out on the drive home, my dad was talking to her mom and found out that she had a boyfriend. So hey, look, of course, now here's my 5D chess going on. When my dad said she has a boyfriend, I knew my mom was going to say, I thought she was a lesbian. And I was like, surprise. Mother probably assumed that because she took extra interest in a girl and was probably exploring her sexuality rather than committing to it. You know, I mean, that's a thing that happens. You know, and I was like, or she's bisexual. Like, you can be that too. I don't know. But yeah, no, because I actually had a conversation with my parents about her on the way home. Because my mom was like, oh, did you talk to her? Like out of the blue. Like, I didn't bring it up or anything. I didn't bring this up. She's like, you know, my mom's like, oh, did you talk to her? She seems like a cool person. And I was like, no, I didn't. And it was interesting that she brought it up because it's like, interesting that you noticed even. I mean, I don't know that she noticed anything about like me, like looking at her or whatever, or trying to come up with something to say. How could she have? But, you know. But again, it points to this problem at large, and it's that I cannot talk to people. And unfortunately, that is how things start. That is how you get on the path to friendship, to relationships, to anything. And I was standing there at this party and realizing I'm afraid. I'm afraid of talking to people. Of you know, to real people and being relevant. At a place like MagFest, obviously this is irrelevant. At a place like MagFest, it's like I've got everything to talk. And I mean, well, no, not exactly. People I know at MagFest, obviously, I can talk to. I have loads of things to talk to them about. But if I see, and this happens at MagFest, if I see a cute girl walking by with a Danganronpa shirt on, and I'm like, that's cool. She's cute. It's like, what happens? What happens then? I freeze and I let it go. And I let it go. Because there's so much shit that goes on in my mind that's like I feel bad about it. You know, it's like I literally feel bad about going up to somebody for what I consider the wrong reasons. And the wrong reasons would be, hey, I find you attractive. Like, is that how I'm supposed to go up to people? Do I just walk up to them and say, hey, I find you attractive? No, absolutely not. But how do you say it? Like, how do you say it? I don't know how to say it. And I don't know how to, you know, and it extends even beyond that because it's like I'm bad at compliments. Some dude, you know, here we go. I'm talking about a dude, so you know I'm not being a perv. Walked into work the other day wearing a Primus t-shirt, and I really wanted to comment on it because you don't see people wearing Primus t-shirts, and I love Primus. And it's like, I didn't want to say anything to him. Doesn't help that I didn't like him previously because he's a little, but whatever. You know, it's like, God, I'm bad at talking to people, and it's just this fear that I have that I'm going to be irrelevant, that I'm going to be a creep, that I'm going to be wasting somebody's time, that I'm going to do it for the wrong reasons, that I'm going to do it because everything that I say, any kind of small talk I make is going to belie my main reason for talking to somebody, and that is you're attractive. Could I engage with you in courtship? Which is, my one person watching this is probably just like rolling over in pain on the floor, like, why the fuck are you, why are you like this? And it's like, yeah, years of rejection, lots of different social factors that have changed in the past couple of years that make me afraid to talk to people. And it's like, I never want to seem like I'm hitting on someone. Ever. God, how do I get to 20 minutes? But I don't know. It's like, how do you talk to people for the first time? Randomly. People that you may have something in common with, potentially, but you don't really know. I mean, at MagFest, you might have an idea. I've always had that dream about going to MagFest and seeing somebody and meeting somebody, and being able to strike up a conversation. Like with Resident Evil 4 dude, that one year, where I just sat down and had a conversation about Resident Evil 4 with a dude who was playing it at midnight in the game room. Why can't that ever happen with a girl? I always feel invasive. I always feel very invasive when I talk to people, because if I walked up to this girl yesterday and was like, so you like this music? I mean, what does that imply? It implies I'm trying to make small talk. It implies I'm bad at it. And it, again, kind of gives me away. It's like, doesn't it? Do people not think like that? The fact that I would have an awkward silence after that I don't have this game plan that I need to keep a conversation going, is like, I don't know. Because I guess the other half of this is that I automatically assume that people are not interested in me inherently. I automatically assume that people would not willingly engage me in conversation. You know what I mean? Like, and that people who do that want to then exit the conversation as quickly as possible. It's just kind of a thing with me, is that I sort of assume that people don't want to talk to me. If people wanted to talk to me, they'd come up and talk to me, and that, unfortunately for me, that never happens. This is a thing that happens with my good friends as well. If I do not talk to my good friends, they do not talk to me, by and large. And that is unfortunate. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge everywhere. It just is. And nobody ever comes up to me and just talks to me to talk to me. Nobody ever comes up and talks to me because I'm cute or whatever, or because I, did something they liked, or nothing like that ever happens to me. So I'm drawn the conclusion that I have to do it for myself, and I just can't. And I just have this issue where I just can't. Where I can't even just talk to somebody to talk to them. And I mean, look, girl from yesterday, again, I sort of inherently knew that it wasn't going to be to date. It wasn't going to be like me hitting on her, because again, I sort of assumed she was a lesbian, but that's no reason not to talk to someone, right? Like, I need friends. I could use friends. But I think the other thing that I assume about people is that they're in a relationship. That girl with the cool shirt at MagFest, probably in a relationship already. And I just assume that about people to mitigate my disappointment, because that's always what happens. Oh yeah, that happened Saturday. There's a girl that comes in to work every day, because she does deposits for a local business, And I was always like, you know what? She's pretty cute. And I was pretty good at making small talk with her, you know, and like checking in on her and just doing these small things. And then yesterday she came in and my coworker was talking to her, like, what did you do this weekend? And she was like, oh, I hung out with my boyfriend's mom. And I was just like, well, fuck. Of course, naturally. Everyone's in a relationship. Everyone. Ever. I mean, except for a few people that I know, but you know, I just assume. And that's another reason why I don't talk to people, because it's like, okay, not only are you going to go up to this person, be really awkward about talking to them and talking to them for the first time, your intentions are going to clearly be that you are trying to express attraction towards them and that you would like to date them, and they're going to tell you that they have a boyfriend anyway, so who cares? You know? And that's just one of the big reasons I sort of assume that people don't want to talk to me, or that I would be irrelevant if I did start a conversation, or that it would be useless to start a conversation. You know what I mean? Is that not only is that obvious, it's like it's completely misplaced because I'm guessing. You know, it's I don't know. It's just it's like, what's the point? You know? And it's like factors like these, it's like, am I ever going to be able to overcome it? Unless some goddamn miracle happens that somebody one day comes up to me, you know, and just smickety smackers up my lips and says, I want you. In which case I will still have huge security issues because, you know, I don't trust that at all. It's like I'll never be able to do what I need to do to get what I want. You know what I mean? It's just, it's ridiculous. And it's that example that, because that's, whether the context or not, right? No matter what I know or don't know about this person that I have never held a conversation with, about whom all of my information is secondhand, you know, why shouldn't I talk to this person? What do I have to lose? You know, and I can't. I couldn't come up with anything. I'm a pretty smart dude. Look, I'm a pretty smart dude. Again, I know how a lot of those things handle. And you know what? Here's the other thing. I knew in my brain, too, that she was not bad at conversation because she could talk to the adults in the room and hold conversations with them. And I couldn't. In fact, that was one of the things that I liked about her, was that it was like, oh, wow, you can hold conversations with these people. It's like she genuinely just smiled a couple of times, and it's just, I don't know. It's like sometimes you just, like, there's a way a person, like, looks. There's the way they carry themselves that is just, like, attractive, and it's, like, that's kind of what I felt yesterday, but I never came up with anything, and it's ridiculous, and it's dumb. Because, you know, there are dudes out there that go to a bar. And I think about this all the time. There are people out there who go to a bar and they walk out with somebody. There are people that go to a bar and they not only walk out with somebody, they walk back to their house and, you know, do the nasty. People get picked up. People hook up. And that leap is just ridiculous to me, because I can't even go from nothing to acquaintance in a day. I can't even go to let's add each other on Facebook. You know? Which is like the first step in pretty much anything, because once I add somebody on Facebook, it's like, oh, I can gather more information about them and sort of glean a little bit about what they like or what they're interested or how they carry themselves. Or if they post very little on Facebook, that tells me a lot too. It tells me they have better things to do with their life. Although I don't do anything on Facebook, and I definitely don't have anything better to do with my life. So anyways, yeah, it's just this thing that dawned on me yesterday, and it's like, I cannot talk to people, and that is an essential skill that I need to get something that I desperately want in this life. And it's so weird. And it's so weird that I can't. That I can't even go and have that awkward conversation that might not be an awkward conversation. I mean, but really though, like if you saw a person and you wanted to talk to them based solely on the way they looked, and you knew in your mind how that conversation was going to go, would you still have the conversation? Or would you be like me and try to think of other ways to have the conversation and have it not be freaking weird? You know? I think that's kind of where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because that's what I do. I predict. And I think in my mind, I always give myself the big disadvantage. I always stop and I think, I'm at a disadvantage in the conversation because I'm the one that looks like a creep who's trying to hit on you. And I'm the one that is not the interested party. The other party is inherently disinterested in me. You know? And I always look at myself at the disadvantage. So I try to give myself the advantage of being able to predict how a conversation is going to go. And if I can't predict that it's going to go well, which I never do, then why is it a conversation? Why is it even worth that stress, that social anxiety, where I get anxious about how it's going to go or how it's going to turn out? Why is it worth that then, if you know how it's going to go? Or if you think you know how it's going to go, if you don't have any reason to believe that, you know, it's not going to go that way. You know, it was just a moment that dawned on me where I was like, this is a huge impediment. And it's one of those things that mentally is a gigantic hurdle to jump over, because how do you undo it? How do you undo the long time of rejection and failures and times when that didn't go so well, or it wouldn't go so well, or whatever? You know, all the people that pass me by at MagFest and places like that, where it's just like, you could have did, but you didn't. You know, it used to be this normal thing. It used to be this normal thing that guys would just talk to girls, and then suddenly it would be a thing. You know, I mean, movies are a bad example of this, but I'm going to use movies like okay, for like what? Fred and/or George in The Goblet of Fire. He throws a paper ball at a girl, asks her to go to the fucking prom, and she goes. You know? Or in Public Enemies, which I know is about a movie about like the 1930s, where friggin' John Dillinger, okay, granted he looks like Johnny Depp, because he's played by Johnny, you know, that's the joke. He just sees Billy and he's like, you're my girl now. And she's like, oh, okay. But that's how it was. You watch all these movies set in the old age, and it was just like, oh, watch me get this girl. And then they get the girl, and then you're like, all right, whatever. You know? It's just like they go up and they have these conversations, and they're charmed, and then they hang out, and then they get married, because that's how it worked in the old days, apparently. And it feels like up until recently, those conversations were like commonplace and easy to have and all that stuff. But it just seems like nowadays it's like people have access to everybody. And when you've got access to everybody, why does this random dude coming up to you think he's got something to say? You know what I mean? When you've got people you can choose based on better qualities. That's what I think allures people about the internet, right? I think that's why we fall in love with these internet personalities. Because you get to know the people before the awkward interaction. You know what I mean? You get to experience who they are for hours and hours and hours. Like, think about a streamer. You watch a streamer you watch a streamer for a long time. You see pictures of them. You know what they look like. You know that you share interests. That's how you fall in love with these sorts of people, because you get to know them in an easy environment, in an environment where you can very easily pull out of the interaction, or you can wait for them to open an opportunity. Like, oh yeah, I'm having a bad day or whatever. You just have to put in chat, oh, well, I hope you're having a better day. You know, you sub, you donate, you know, you do all these things to get noticed, and that's how you do it, because there are so many opportunities. Why does some dude coming up to you randomly at a convention have any stake in you? Why does he have a chance? I can choose any of these people. I mean, you know, females in particular have this because they are going to get approached by random guys at cons, especially if they're in cosplay and all that stuff. You know, why should any of those guys have a chance? Why would they? You know, I can go back and I can choose. You know, and I can come to this con and meet them. Even better. Not only can I go on the internet and find people that share my interests, that I can learn and share my interests without having to ask them. Like, think about it. Think about how awkward it is to meet somebody in your hometown having nothing to go on except for their look and a vague notion of who they are. That's how it used to be. That's how, you know, your parents met. You know? And maybe their grandparents. They might not have had anything in common, but he went up to her and he said, "You're pretty. Let me take you out." And she may have said yes, and that may have been it. It's like mind-blowing how it used to work and how much different it is now. Now we have access to every single person with an internet connection. Every single person. You know, in our parents' time, your soulmate lived within 20 miles of you, easily. By and large, most of the time, long-distance relationships, no, not a thing. So much. I mean, I'm sure they happened, but no, I would say a lot of times they were within that circle. Whether or not they shared your interest or whatnot, or the interests were more limited, obviously, there were less things to do. It's crazy. It's just crazy the world we live in now, that where all of that is the truth. You know? Why would you talk to some random person that you don't know? Why would you go to a bar to try and pick somebody up? It still happens, which is crazy to me, but you gotta have charisma plus 35 to do that shit. And it's like, it's wild to me. But that's how it is. You know, that's the way the world works, unfortunately. And I ain't got a shot in hell in that world because I cannot talk to people. I cannot make myself interesting. I cannot make myself carry a conversation, you know, when I don't know that the other person is interested. And when I'm just inherently not interesting enough, I guess. I don't know. If I wanted to play the mysterious person, well, I guess I'm not good at that either because I'm not mysterious enough. They don't want to come talk to me. You know? So, I don't know. It's just, it's such a weird, such a weird situation. But it was on my mind, and I really wanted to talk about it, and I really kind of, I don't know why I just didn't write about it, or whatever, or rant about it and just get it out there and put it into the ether and never hear of it again. It was a realization. It was a moment for me where I stopped and I was like, huh. How about that? And it's just, I don't know. I've been thinking about it, and I continue to think about it because it's like, if I don't get over it, then I'm never gonna, you know, what are the chances that I end up with what I want with somebody, you know? How do I solve that problem? How do I move past it? You know, so it's just something I thought about. And I'm always going to remember the way. I'm not going to let myself forget the way she looked and the way I couldn't stop looking at her, or thinking about her, and it's just like, because I don't want to remember that I didn't come up with anything to say. And how is that possible? Is that just a good thing? I mean, really, can I ask that? Is that just a good thing? Is it just like good that, you know, that I didn't say anything? Was it not worth it? Am I overthinking this stupid interaction? Probably. I overthought it yesterday, for God's sakes. You walk up to somebody and you say hello. How are you? What's up? Is life good? Why are manhole covers round? There you go. That's a good one. But no, it's just... I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I mean, I guess... What were the chances that anything I could have said would have struck up a friendship, if anything? So given me someone new to talk to, potentially someone to hang out with and get to know. What are the chances that I would have gotten that, let alone beyond? Which, the beyond obviously was not going to be a thing if she already has a boyfriend or whatever, you know? Maybe I was right not to do it, but I keep thinking about it, and it's just exemplary because it was a larger version of what I sometimes feel when I'm out in public, you know, here or there, or, you know, at MagFest, certainly. I feel it all the time at MagFest. Oh my God. But I don't know. That's just something I wanted to talk about. And I have done so for 42 minutes now, which is ridiculous. I don't know how people sit through these. I should really just like do a part 1 and part 2 of this, but I don't know. I guess I'm done talking about it. Because this is too long now. They're always too long, and I never know how to end them. Anyways, yeah, I wanted to know your opinions and experiences with this, because I'm very curious about it. I want to know if you think my way of thinking is ridiculous. How can I stop it? How can I change my way of thinking? I don't know, but that's a part of me, inherently. And I think that some of my friends can relate. So, yeah. Thanks for watching this ridiculous thing. Oh my God, why is it so long? Stop. Have a good day. And I'll be back probably next week. Seriously, I want to do more vlogs. Even if they're short or about other random things. Clearly, I'm good at talking once I get going.